I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get to the items on our agenda tonight, there are a few matters that essentially housekeeping items that I need to go over. First, in the event of a fire, there will be an announcement. If there's such an announcement, please move in a calm and orderly fashion out the doors to your left, using either the staircase to the north or the staircase to the south to exit the building, and not the elevators. And be calm and orderly in doing so. We take the items on our agenda in the order that they appear on the agenda. Extra copies of the agenda are on the table by the door. The procedure that we follow is that the case is called by our secretary, Michelle, and the applicant will come forward to the podium, state their name, their address, then they'll pause to be sworn, and after they're sworn, they will present their case to the board. During the applicant's presentation of the case to the board, members of the board may engage in discussion or ask questions or otherwise interact with the applicant in relation to the substance of the application. Once all of the input from the board and the applicant has been received, then we will open it up for public input. We have three categories of public input. First is those who are in favor of the application. The second is those who are opposed to the application. And the third is those who wish to address some point of the application but have no opinion, either favorable or unfavorable, in relation to the application. When you come up to speak during the public input, you need to state your name and your address so that Michelle can record who is saying what and who is speaking in favor and in opposition to the application. The notes that Michelle takes are for the preparation of minutes. They are not intended to be, and they are not, a verbatim transcript of the meeting. Those participating in public input, unlike the applicants, do not get sworn because you are providing public input as a citizen of the town of Irondequoit or an interested citizen, and as such, you are free to express your opinion without hesitation. Applicants, on the other hand, are providing factual information to the board that we rely upon in making a decision. And if information is given to us that is incorrect or false, by having you sworn, having the applicant sworn, there are remedies that are available to deal with the misinformation provided to the board. We don't need to worry about that with any portion of the public input. Once the public input has been completed, the applicant then is given an opportunity to return and address any points that were raised during the public input, and there can be further discussion and questions from the board and the applicant. During the public input, the comments are directed to the board, not to the applicant, and it is not an opportunity to engage in a conversation with the applicant. Once the applicant has had the opportunity to address any comments raised during the public input session, the case will be closed and we'll move on to the next case on the agenda. After all the cases on the agenda have been heard, the board will take a short recess, probably 5 or 10 minutes at the most, and we will then return and deliberate on the cases that appear on the agenda in the order that they appear on the agenda and for which the applicant or their representative remains present. So if the applicant for the case that's listed on the agenda first leaves and the second applicant is present, we would take the second case, then we would go to the next case, and then we would go back to the top of the agenda and take the case for the applicant, the first applicant who had left, and any subsequent applicants who had also left. Your people are welcome to stay during the deliberation portion of the meeting, but no further input is allowed unless it's directly requested by a member of the board. If you are interested in knowing what decisions we've reached and you're not interested in hanging around to find out when we make the decision, you're free to catch us on Facebook, ICAT. I think we're on Spectrum Channel 1303, is it?
Correct.
1303. And you can also call the town tomorrow morning after 9 o'clock and ask for the Zoning and Planning Department, and they'll be glad to tell you what we decided tonight. I believe that covers everything. Did I leave anything out?
That was amazing.
All right. Then we will get underway with the first case on our agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First case is case number ZB 2025-07-01. Request by Sean and Danielle Arnold are seeking a special use permit to harbor 3 hens with coop pursuant to Town Code subsection 235-70 on premises 135 Pine Grove Avenue in an R1 residential district. Thank you.
And I did forget one thing that I wanted to mention, so you can stay right there, and I apologize for holding you up. Tonight we are dealing with 2 cases involving applications to house chickens. For some reason, the town board years ago decided that the zoning board was the board to deal with chickens and goats and horses and monkeys and coatis and any other kind of animal other than dogs and cats, which they left to the police chief. But it is not normally. If you are one who's watched our meetings, you'll see us talk about practical hardship or extreme hardship in the case of use variances. This is not a variance application. By denominating this as a special use permit, the town board has made a determination that chickens and other animals are allowed in the town of Arundecoit. What they have entrusted to this board is to ensure that if the animals are to be housed in the town of Arundecoit, that they are housed under conditions that minimize or eliminate any adverse impact on neighbors and neighborhoods, etc. So the question, in the past when we've considered cases of this nature, we've had people talk to us about the harm that they perceive that comes from housing chickens, the thought that perhaps it increases the presence of predators or rats or things of that nature. We're, of course, interested in hearing whatever anyone has to say. However, it's not up to us to say you can't have hens in the town of Arundecoit. We impose conditions, and if you can't meet those conditions, then you can't have them. But we have developed over the years, without any particularized training, a set of conditions that we impose habitually on every applicant who wants a special use permit to house chickens. And those conditions include, but are not necessarily limited to, no more than 6, absolutely no roosters. They have to be in a coop and a run that is located at least 4 feet from any neighboring property line. They have to dig 2 feet down and put in mesh or chicken wire, some kind of barrier to prevent predators who might decide to dig under the coop to get at the chickens. And they have the coop and the run has to be maintained and cleaned on a regular basis. It's subject to an inspection by the town every year, or if there's a complaint. And the food has to be stored in containers that are not outside. They're either in a garage, a shed, or a house. We eliminated the requirement for an annual veterinarian certificate of health because we found out that the veterinarians aren't really doing that. So we didn't want to impose a requirement that couldn't be met. And I believe that covers all of the conditions that we usually impose. So, having said that, now
Thank
it's your
you.
turn.
Good evening. We're Danielle and Sean Arnold at 135 Pine Grove.
If you'd raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so as we've already mentioned, we're Sean and Danielle. We live at 135 Pine Grove, right across from the Helmer Nature Center, and we are reaching out to receive a special use permit to harbor 3 hens in our neighborhood, following all the guidelines, which you just beautifully summed up.
We prepared the application prior to the removal of the veterinary requirement and still plan to follow through as a first step for getting a clean bill of health for those birds. Additionally, we plan to incorporate it into educational curriculum. Our children are homeschooled. It'll be a part of their learning activities as well. And the location as it sits is obscured from view for most of our neighboring properties and is a relative distance away, certainly significantly more than the 4 feet requirement. And we're happy to answer any questions.
I seem to recall from reading the proposal that the chickens are also going to be using a portion of the garage.
The coop itself will be homed in the garage. What we have the coop outside for right now is to line it up to ensure that we're going to have access through a door. It's part of our cold weather plan to ensure that the chickens remain warm throughout cold weather seasons.
I was intrigued by that because everybody else who's come in front of us has had the coop outside, and having the coop inside it probably cuts down on a lot of the need for heat.
We hope so.
Yes, okay.
I saw you hit on their wood floors. Are you gonna have that covered with anything? I mean, I'm worried about the feces and everything else and how it's gonna clean on the wood.
Oh, yes. So the actual coop itself is elevated to protect against rodents or any other sort of critters. So that base is wood, but it has a pull-out tray, so it can easily be cleaned and disposed of. And then the floor itself, we're looking to use, there's been a lot of good research about using hardware or construction sand, and that's the easiest to sanitize and clean, so that will be the actual base of the coop and run.
Thank you.
Seem to have done a lot of homework. Is this your first time caring for chickens?
It is, yes.
Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention is that we issue special use permits for a term of 5 years. They're subject to being renewed at the end of that 5-year period. I think we've only had 2 people come back so far to renew after 5 years, so that may tell you that you might be in for something. Maybe not. Just wanted to, since I forgot to do that. Any other questions or comments from the board?
I do. On your drawing, it shows that your property, your coop will back up to lot 67. Do you own lot 67?
Is that the double lot?
Yes, we do. The entire outline, the solid black outline is our property.
Correct. It was resubbed. That dotted line shows where it was 2 lots, but they have resubbed it into 1 lot.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. And hardware mesh, is that chicken wire covered with a poly?
It's actually a smaller mesh so that it can't have rodent access. So it's smaller. It's slightly narrower and smaller than than the chicken wire.
But still braided wire.
Yes.
Okay. And it's going down 2 feet?
Yes.
That's correct. Buried and flared.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, we'll open it to public input. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of this application? Step right up.
Hello, I'm Elen Tebow. I live at 212 Franklin. Sean and Danielle are our neighbors. I have zero concerns about how it will go with them owning chickens. I don't know if you have seen their property to review the coop, but they, like if you look on Pinterest for chicken coops or how one should make your yard and garden look, theirs is better. It's really just impeccable. They obviously do their research, do their homework. Their 3 children can tell me more about chickens than many adults that I know. They are so prepared, and just really good neighbors, and really good about thinking about how things will impact their neighbors, and yeah, they're just very conscientious people, so I have no concerns. I'm all for it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who wishes to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone here who wishes to speak in opposition to this application? Is there anyone here? Oh, step right up.
My name is Doug Macaluso, and I live at 29 Poppy, which is 2 houses south of their house. The number of chickens they have is going to be 3, or that's what they're requesting is 3.
They're requesting 3.
Are they chicks or chickens? Grown chickens.
They will grow into chickens.
Are they chicks now?
They're baby chicks.
All right, New York State says, well, when you purchase them, they sell them usually in groups of 6.
We were actually able to work. Oh, I'm sorry. Are we not?
This is not, this is supposed to be comments directed to the board, sir. And
Okay,
I had heard that from another applicant in the past, that state law requires
right,
them to be sold in 6, but the application is for 3, not 6.
okay. Well, the other thing is just there's rats in the neighborhood, and chicken feed is, the rats, they'll enjoy that. So that was one concern.
I have looked into that, and one of the things that rats enjoy more than chicken feed is bird seed, and another is feces from dogs.
Yep, bird seed. Ange, it's at 43 Poppy, myself at 29 Poppy Street. Got rid of the bird feeders because of the rats. And I've got a half dozen snap traps in my garage. Had an exterminator last September. We got, there's rats in the neighborhood, so they got to keep that under control.
I may not have mentioned that the food has to be stored in containers and in structures not left outside.
All right. That's about it. You covered the other thing. And what about if one of the turns out to be a rooster? Because I know people who have 42 acres. They bought chicks, and one of them turned out to be a rooster. But they got 42 acres, and that rooster was put to sleep.
Well, that's one option. Another is to deport it out of Arundequoit,
Okay,
because roosters are not allowed in the town of Arundequoit.
I was glad to hear that. All right.
All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak in relation to this application? Step right up, sir.
Joseph Zostek, 24 Couchman Avenue. I'm on the corner of Poppy. I'm 5 houses away, and I only have 2 concerns. Number one, who's going to inspect this setup so that we know that it's the way it's supposed to be?
The town has, one of the things that's the condition of the issuance of the permit is that they have to allow the town to come and inspect the property at a minimum of once a year.
Okay, great. And will that take place initially so we make sure from the get-go that it's okay?
There's usually, I believe, some kind of a code enforcement officer or somebody who comes by to make sure that they're complying with the conditions of the permit. I believe that's the case, yes,
At the start?
at the start.
Great, great. Okay, the other concern I have is noise. Okay, I'm a noise freak. We have a beautifully quiet neighborhood, and our neighbors are quiet too, both of them. And my concern is, I didn't realize that female chickens can crow like roosters. Did you?
No, and this concern was raised probably 7 or 8 years ago. I spent an hour standing at a fence at a neighbor's house who had come to us and indicated that he was bothered by the noise from the chickens. During the hour that I stood at the fence on a Sunday morning, I didn't hear any noise from the chickens in the yard. I heard 6 or 7 dogs. I heard cars going up and down the street. I heard lots of other noise, but there was no noise from the chickens. And that's one of the things that we have looked into in the past, and we're unaware of any even neighbors being able to hear noise from chickens on the properties that we've approved. So, but again, if you have an issue with that, you call the town, they'll come out and check it out. That's why we ask for the permission to, as a condition, to allow the town to come and inspect.
Okay, that's great to hear, because, first of all, obviously, you know that 1 hour doesn't say that the rest of the hours aren't gonna, crow.
I agree, but that was the hour that the individual complained about because he said he couldn't sit on his deck on Sunday morning between those hours
Gotcha.
because of the noise from the chickens.
Okay, so we can call and complain about that. But I was surprised. It says, when I checked on the web, female chickens can crow like roosters, though it's often portrayed as being a behavior exclusively observed in roosters. Female chickens can and sometimes do crow. So, there's the facts, and I can understand where you came from, and you're right, and I'm right. And the third thing is assessment. I'm concerned that having having chickens in my neighborhood isn't going to help my assessment one darn bit when I plan to sell my house. So it's a very big concern for me that my property value will be devalued.
Well, as I indicated at the outset, this is a use that the town board has determined is acceptable in the town. So the mere presence of chickens on the property in your neighborhood, if that does have any impact at all on your assessment, and I don't know if it would or not, the town board has made the determination already that chickens are acceptable.
So they don't care.
Well, you could say that, or you could phrase it indicating that they don't believe it's a real issue with respect to that, and they've entrusted us with establishing conditions, as I said, to minimize or eliminate any adverse impact that might otherwise come to the neighborhood.
Okay, and the smell, there'll be no smell?
We haven't heard of any reports of smells emanating from chickens.
Okay, and what's the limit that we can have on the square footage of the shed that's available? We're having 3 chickens. Is the shed big enough for 3 chickens, or too big, or too small, or what?
The coop, I believe, would be capable of housing 6 or more chickens
The coop that we have?
that they already have, that they were working on painting when I was there Sunday.
Okay, so we verified that?
I've seen it.
Okay, good. All right, and one more thing, what was it?
And I will say it's larger than a lot of the other coops that I've gone and seen over the years.
So it's a super coop.
Yeah, okay.
That's good, that's good. All right, so other than if we have any issues, we call you and you come out and check?
Well, you call the town.
Call the town, okay. 'Cause-
Yes.
Oh, that's right. You guys were asked to handle this, and you think they should be in the town. So we call the town zoning board? Is that what this?
It's enforced by the town code enforcement department.
Okay,
And our code enforcement coordinator will be the one making the inspections.
okay, well, let me say something about the code enforcement in Arundequoit. There's very little code enforcement in Arundequoit. I see people's grasses with 3.5 feet tall. I see 6, 7 cars in driveways.
Well,
I see garages falling down, and have contacted
I'm sorry to hear that, sir, but this is about the special use permit tonight.
All I'm saying is, if that's the way it's going to be treated, then I don't have much belief in it.
I'm sorry that you feel that way.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else who'd like to address this application? Did the applicant wish to submit any additional information in response to the public input?
Should we close the public hearing before that?
No. No, it's still part of the public hearing.
Sean Arnold, 135 Pine Grove Avenue. Just to speak to two of the concerns that were brought up. Everything within our power to remediate, we've taken steps to do so. Anything that appears as though rodent might habitate in that space near the coop or noise, for example, we've strategically made decisions to either remediate it ourselves by filling those things in and ensuring that there is no rodent access to those areas near the coop. Additionally, we believe that the location inside of the garage will control any sort of noise that might occur that might disrupt our neighbors. And our immediate neighbors on either side of us who would be most impacted by a noisy chicken have endorsed that methodology. And that's it.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll close the hearing with respect to this matter. Move on to the next case on our agenda.
Next case is ZB 2025-07-02. Request by Angelica and Jose Delgado are seeking a special use permit to harbor 6 hens with coop pursuant to Town Code subsection 235-70 on premises 91 Conmar Drive in an R1 residential district.
Hello, my name is Angelica Perez Delgado, and I live at 91 Conmar Drive. This is my husband, Jose Delgado, who also lives, sometimes I let him live with me at 91 Conmar Drive. This morning.
Okay. If you'd both raise your right hands, do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So we are trying to get 6 chickens with a coop in our backyard underneath our pool deck.
And from looking at your survey map, that's more than 4 feet from any of the neighboring properties.
Correct.
And I believe the application indicated that you were going to bury at least 2 feet down.
2 feet down.
Actually, I think I recall, reading in your application that you intended to wrap around the perimeter of 8 by 8 and bury 8 to 12 inches into the ground. I want you to understand that we're going to require you to go 24.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, got that.
Not 8 to 12, but 24. That's to prevent that 2-foot distance will be much more of a deterrent to something that thinks it's going to dig under than 8 or 12 inches will.
Yeah.
Okay?
Makes sense. The coop that we bought does have a run, so we're still gonna do that, but then we're gonna put the smaller run under there to keep them more contained.
And you understand, I think, from reading your application about the need to keep the food into a secure interior location?
Yep, we're gonna keep the food inside the hut, and nothing will remain out other than when they're being fed. We did buy, I got it in my order box as soon as you guys approve me, some contained, sealed, food containers, I think what else?
I'm a farmer, so if we make.
We had chickens in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
They were free range, but that's a different story.
Well, that's one of the
We won't be
conditions is they
yeah,
don't
we won't be
free range.
free ranging ours.
All right.
We will use a deep litter method with hay and pine needles. I did buy some lime dust that we're gonna put in there to help with anything, for any bugs or anything going in the coop. It's pretty large. The coop that we did get can house more than 6 chickens, but we wanted them to have sufficient space.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, we'll open it up to public input. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Step right up.
Good evening. My name is Kate Sones. I live at 312 Bayview. My property, and this is my husband, Matt. Our property backs up to the Delgados, so we'll be directly with them. I just wanted to come and say how supportive we are. We would love it if they got chickens. I wanted to come in person to see how this process goes because I too would like to get some chickens at some point. So I'm hoping to use them as inspiration and maybe help them when they're out of town, if they'll let me. So they also have neighbor support. And we've talked to some of the other neighbors too, and everybody's like, yay chickens. Yay, eggs.
Yay, eggs, okay.
Any questions for us?
Oh, no,
Okay. Go chickens.
thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition to this application?
My name is Deborah Shern, and I live at 356 Bayview Road, and I'm a Realtor. And my concern is the value of the properties being devalued due to the chickens in the neighborhood. I've had the same experience as I've been a Realtor for 40 years, that people have tried to sell their house and they've had complaints about chickens in neighborhoods. So my concern, aside from the smell and the odor, is that there's a gully behind the houses on the other side of the street. I have a lot of things that come through a lot of animals that come through my yard. There's a baby that lives at that house, and my concern is that there's going to be more animals coming through to go to the other side of the street. There was a coyote seen on Tottenham Road, which isn't that far away, so there's no reason to believe that the coyotes aren't going to be coming up that hill. So those are my main concerns, but the main concern for me is the value of the properties.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anyone else wish to speak to this application? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing with respect to, oh, did you want to say anything in response to that? I'm sorry.
Just that my neighbor across the street with the baby couldn't be here, but they're very excited about our chickens.
Okay. All right, we'll close the hearing with respect to that matter, and the board will be in recess for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a note for the record that a letter was received via mail from Keith Chambry at 39 Conmar Drive. He did not speak in favor of or in opposition of when they are done properly, when it's done properly. basically.
Yes, and I forgot to mention his letter. Without apparently looking at our prior hearings on these matter, he came up with pretty much the same conditions that we've established over the years. So either he was familiar with them and thought he'd add his input, or he came up with those on his own, which is reinforcing that perhaps we got at least some of it right. So we'll close the hearing now with respect to that, and the board will be in recess for 5 minutes, and then we will resume with our deliberations.
Putting the fence down low enough so the varmints and everything can't get in there, and they agreed to keep the food in a sealed container, such as a sealed garbage can with a lid on it, so the pets or mice and things like that can't get into it. So I approve this.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
We're limited to 3 in this case, though, right?
They asked for 3, we'll allow them to have 3. And this would be with the usual conditions,
Yes.
that they can have 3 hens for a 5-year period with no replacement hens and no roosters. Annual inspection by the town staff with no advance notice provided. For outdoor structures enclosed with fencing wire mesh, the wire mesh fencing should be buried 2 feet below the ground to prevent access to the enclosed area. The coop and run to be at least 4 feet from the property lines. Coop must be maintained and cleaned. The food is to be stored indoors in sealed containers. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 7 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. The board is fully constituted. All members are present. The next application on the agenda is for the property at 91 Conmar Drive. This is also a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does someone wish to make a motion with respect to this application? Seeing none, I'll make a motion that we grant the special use permit as requested with the conditions that I just read off in relation to the previous application.
I'll second it.
Only this would be to allow the harboring of 6 hens, since that's the limit and that's what they've asked for. So, Mr. Johnson?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. No members are absent, and all members of the board are present. All right, the last item for the consideration by the board is with the packets of applications for tonight's hearing. You should all have received, as I did, the minutes, drafted the minutes for the meeting that was held on June 2nd. Did everyone see those? I need someone make a motion to approve those minutes. It won't be me because I wasn't present.
Make a motion to approve as written?
Second.
All those in favor say, any discussion first? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I abstained because I wasn't present. Motion carries 6 votes in favor, no opposed, 1 abstentions. All members of the board are present, and we are fully constituted this evening. And that, I believe, concludes our agenda and all of the business before the board. So I would make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
I think there's a 3rd and a 4th and a 5th and a 6th and a 7th in there. That is unanimously approved, 7 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions, and nobody's staying around. We are adjourned.